Well, here we go with the assembly. These are back on. See the tab washers on. The shorter ones go, although they stick out more, the shorter ones go on the inside of those 4 springs. And that is ready. My clip is there holding back the cam, and this is a dummy. I'm very lucky that I've got a dummy shaft, or an old shaft. This is an old gearbox which I've used to assemble, so that I know the splines are all in line, so that should drop nicely onto the gearbox now. Now, before you put the shaft in, obviously the pump has to be, that has to position the, you can see that it is smaller at the bottom. Keep that with the larger at the top so it goes on easier. The other thing is that this end of the shaft, it's got a very slight taper on it for a lead in. Sometimes that can be a little bit tight and it needs to locate into the bearing at the bottom. What I tend to do is increase that very slightly so that it centres itself, and then we'll pull into the bearing much easier. I've just put the very slight taper on it just to help it to lead into the bearing. Okay, that's it. I did put it into first gear, put the remote back onto it in first gear. That's pulled in now. Get the other nuts on and tighten that up thoroughly. So that's the final stages coming on. Then I can put start rebuilding this, and I've left the valve off there. That can go in. But all the nuts and bolts that can be tightened up, and that's it, ready. Just a final thing now. This is the piece of wire that was holding the just that piece of wire there that held the spring back, so that the piston was pulled down, so it went together. Just got one knot to put on there, and I've started putting the Overdrive solenoid in. That I've put the rubber in. That is loose now. I can put the cam. Don't forget this spacer when you put it back together. That's very essential. And I've put new O-rings in there to seal it. So that is all ready. Now the next thing I'm doing is the electrics on the Overdrive. You see I've got that set for continuity, so it's on one there. Touch them together and it's 0. So what I need to make sure is that in first gear none of the switch works, so I don't want it going into overdrive in first gear, and I don't want it in reverse gear either. So again, check, no, switching not work. I want it to work on second, there it is. It's coming over, if you can see it there, on second gear, third gear. Yeah, that's it. In third gear, it's and fourth gear. That's it. The switch is working on fourth gear, so they're set, and doesn't work on reverse or first gear. Excellent. The other thing I haven't done I'll reconnect this, and when it's back in the car I'll show you how I recalibrate the overdrive switch and the solenoid. So the gearbox is all ready now. The solenoid is back in. This clamp is loose, so I don't. I'll show you how to adjust that. But now this is ready to lift back into the car. Bit of a struggle on your own, but